And I think the hardest work out there in the world is vision. Like, most people don't take time to think, most people don't take time to articulate it, and most people are afraid to say it because they don't know how to achieve it. But that's what makes it vision. Is you don't know how to achieve it, but you start to achieve it because you're willing to declare it, because you're willing to commit to it. And to me, vision lives in your heart, not just on a wall. So entrepreneurial time system is also going to be useful, because when I think about scale and when I think about like this new venture that you guys are looking at, is in order to do it, you've got to let go of something before you grab onto the next thing, right? Otherwise, we're just going to like decimate health and family time and too many things. So the entrepreneurial time system can be super helpful for this. So the first thing is there's focus days, the second thing is buffer days, and the third thing is free days. So think of, like, in sports, you've got your buffer days, which are all the practice days preparing for game day. The focus day is game day. And then free days are just relaxation, rejuvenation, recreation, but zero business on those days. And that's there for recharge. And like, the bigger that you're doing, the bigger the vision, the more I think it requires taking some time away, taking some time to step back so that you show up the best version of who you are. So a buffer day would be like, what are all the things that you have to do, whether that's business meetings, whether that's preparation, whether that's study, whether that's detail work, whatever it is that prepares you so that when a focus day comes up, you can do the things that are most productive in the best fashion possible. And so on a focus day, you can have 20% buffer, right? Like, maybe beginning and end of the day, you're doing a few things, but it's really determined. So like, you're not going from, like, if you don't categorize it this way, you might go from first gear to fifth gear and you stall out, versus like you're doing everything to prepare so that when it's time, you're just totally ready. And then those free days, actually blocking them out, having them in the calendar so nothing starts to infringe upon them.
Okay.
Because big vision will always create busyness, will always create things to do, and always be able to infringe on things if you haven't cleared the space. So by clearing that space, one thing is you'll even get more strategic, where things just get done that really need to be done, and other things won't get done, or they'll get delegated that were just, maybe not what you really should be doing, but easy to get attached to.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
Any questions on that?
So more like the high leverage, low leverage type activities.
Urgent and important stuff, and then good.
Right. And so what I'm looking at here is like, all right, this is like when you first start in business, hustle can pay off. Hustle can get you to $1 million in revenue. But when you're going to make a different business model, or you're going to do something that has a massive impact, everything that got you to $1 million will prevent you from getting to 10 million, 20 million and beyond, because it requires different habits.
Yes.
So you guys have a ton of talent, a ton of ability, and the key is going to be not to let things that you're good at get in the way of the things you're most unique at. Right?
Yeah,
Yes,
we understand that.
that makes sense.
This is probably the first year we've actually realized that to the degree that we realized it.
So here's like the big thing. One of the things I learned in economics in college, comparative advantage. So comparative advantage could be, let's say that you can do something better than anyone else can do it. But then at the same time, there's something that you could do that no one else can even do. Sometimes it's okay to give up the things that you do better than anyone else, even if they can only do it at 2/3 what you could do it at, as far as efficiency and effectiveness, because that allows you to do the things that no one else can do. And what no one else can do gives you the highest jump, gives you the most production. So it's kind of like you give up this and it's a little less efficient, but this is so much more productive, so much more efficient, so much more valuable, that it's okay if that's a little bit slower, because what's your time worth? What's your vision worth? And I think the hardest work out there in the world is vision. Like, most people don't take time to think, most people don't take time to articulate it, and most people are afraid to say it because they don't know how to achieve it. But that's what makes it vision, is you don't know how to achieve it, but you start to achieve it because you're willing to declare it, because you're willing to commit to it. And to me, vision lives in your heart, not just on a wall. Okay? So we got doing now, not doing now, or doing later,
parking lot.
Never doing it, and parking lot. So when we get into a ton of stuff, just realize we're going to go later and categorize and be like, cool, there's a lot of parking lot there.
Yeah, we're all parking lot right now. I got tons of parking lot.
Tons of parking lot.
Yeah.
And then And then we're just going to look at what are the 3 to 5 objectives, and those objectives are going to be crystal clear. And we might do a 3-month or 4-month objective, and then an annual objective, and those can be 3 to 5 things. But if it's more than 5, it's going to be like too much.
Sure.
And if it's less than 3, it's too little. So somewhere between there. And it's an art. Like Amanda and I have gone through iterations of this, because part of it is I got, like in the past, being like, okay, I have these objectives that I want to get done. But when you're moving more towards thought leadership and moving away from like the traditional business of managing numbers and people, and moving more into the artistic nature of thought leadership, putting too much of a framework that says I have to have this done in 3 months can stifle creativity and lower quality. So I actually am more quality over quantity at this point. Like, how can I create a keynote that I could put my full energy into for 20 years? How can I create a book that would be the seminal work that would redefine finance over the next 20 years versus like, how do I put out a book every year, right? So you got to really look and see what speaks to you, what's going to help you to really engage in something that you're still going to want to engage in the future. Because I think, society has completely got us stuck in activity and busyness. People are just stuck in activity and busyness. I want more things, so I'm going to do more work, and then I can buy more things. And that's basically what was sold as the American dream. That's pretty much a nightmare. And so it takes a completely different perspective where you're not in that, where you're not thinking about how much money you have, how much bandwidth you have, what resources you have, so that you can become more resourceful, and you create it from whatever idea in your head, and it didn't already exist. And so the world has a hard time with that, because we're trained in school that we need to refine something that already exists. We need to find evidence that it can happen. We need to mimic or model. And look, it may be something that somewhat exists, but then it's innovation on top of that improves it. Or it may be something that isn't created and you have to create it. Now, that creating from nothing is one of the harder paths, because people don't know how to identify it, right?
Right.
So we'll go through and we'll figure out what you guys are going to permanently delegate, what the time frame is to do that, what you're going to do from a cash flow standpoint, because I don't want you to get such a big vision, sprint towards it, and then all of a sudden all this cash flow that you've created starts to get, diminished, because there's certain things that take really some time to develop. So let me just draw up, let's start with how people are going to find you. And you use the word freemium a few times. So let's just say, and this is for Amanda's benefit, you're in Iowa, and you're just walking along a cornfield, and then, well, let's say Amanda is, and then you guys, and what happens is, here's the path, and then deep down here is the bottom of a gravity well, right? And you guys are down here saying to anyone that shows up, like, hey, jump on down, we got you. That's a big jump. It's a big leap of faith, right? So what we want to do is just essentially create some steps.
Yep.
And each one of these steps is going to softly land them, for the right person. Just let gravity do the work. So up here at the top is your highest impact, lowest cost. That could be like your one main freemium. Now you can have other things along the way, and then each one might have a little bit bigger price tag. Right. And then eventually down here is like, hey, they're coming to the retreat.
Right.
And so we want to look at what that looks like, and we can fill that in over time.
Sure.
Like, it might be originally a lot bigger steps, right?
Sure.
So if we look at Wealth Factory, we've got a boatload of free stuff, just depending on who we're talking to, what we're talking about. But, the biggest thing that we start with is get what would the Rockefellers do for free, and pay $1.88 shipping, right?
Free book shipping.
Bam, that's a really nice lead magnet. And then from there we start going, oh, hey, would you like the audiobook?
Yeah.
It's $20. So like, if they want to listen to it, now we're actually creating some profit from that. And they're like, oh, if you like the audiobook, you might like a full course.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's a course with workbooks and that kind of stuff. So we're just taking them down, and then they could fill out a survey. We might even call them. We might offer them a $100 blueprint. We might, offer them a $197 video course or a $397 video course. And this has been something we filled in over the last 5 or 6 years. And just think of it this way. Done is better than perfect, progress over perfection. You always get a chance to go redo it. Like Fast Track on Demand, we're on version 3.
Yeah, redo.
You know, the first one was good, second one was better, and then the third one, it's like, you know, even better because there's less of the like filler time. It was like, you know, just thinking about, man, people are busy, things have evolved, but that's kind of the key.
All right. Okay. We like it.
So what content do you guys have already created? Where does it live, and how is it captured? And if you're going to offer that for free, that might be, you know, what kind of, if you're on YouTube, what kind of video is going to lead to that being like, ooh, I want that resource, and then great. So they can opt in to get that, right? Just a simple opt-in page or something.
Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, are you operating a partnership without an agreement?
Right, and there's a couple things that you could do. Like, so when it comes to marketing, you can pay, right? You can just pay and buy, you know, put advertisements out there. Or you can even like look at, if your first customers, if your first people that come to retreat are people that have high influence, they've got big databases.
Right.
You make a big impact, they're going to turn around and then they can interview for their podcast, right? So like, I like the thought of us creating a hit list of 10 to 20 people. They're like, who are the people we're going to hit a home run with? And that they're not going to just turn around and people go, oh yeah, you really needed that? But people are like, you did what? With who? And all of a sudden they can introduce you to their tribe, do an interview or things like that, like Patch and Tempo.
Sure.
You know, I go to Total Solutions 10, 11 years ago. I talked for maybe 10 minutes. 7 people signed up for our program off of it, even though I wasn't making an offer because they were compelled and he's endorsing it. And then all of a sudden he says, you got to come speak to my elite, my Ultimate Achievers Club. You know, we max out the number of people we could take at that, even though I just went and taught. And then at the end he goes, hey, some people want to work with you. And then all of a sudden he sent hundreds of referrals, done, you know, how many interviews and how many, you know, webinars. So that's going to really move you ahead years if you can find people and really make that impact on those influencers.
So we just need a stage for 10 minutes that we can really pretty much get in front of the right
And more than
audience.
anything, you just need to impact that influencer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's out there that's in a partnership that you guys could rock their world?
Yeah.
Who's out there that like you're going, these guys have a database, but if we help them, they could turn around and speak. Because how many times do you listen to something and they go, oh, I'm going to, you know, here's my good friend so-and-so. But you know they're not good friends. They've never even met in person. Or they read the bio and you can tell they don't know each other. It's so different when you have someone that's your advocate because they've experienced what you've actually created. And then they can turn around and it's relationship capital.
Yes.
It's basically, it's time collapsing. How long does it take to build a relationship? Like when I was in college, I never went and approached a girl. I always met girls through people who knew me and could endorse me essentially.
Right away,
and it just got rid of all the awkwardness and me having to be like some crafty creative line or something like that, right?
Never. Yeah.
And so it's like, that's great if you could do that in business where someone just goes, hey, these guys are amazing. And that person is the person that people trust that just saves you so much time, and it's the least expensive way to acquire a customer.
Yep.
Okay.
It sounds like the exact route we discussed.
So we've got to do the hit list.
Yes.
We've got to create that list.
Yeah.
And look, in that list, you're early on in business, so there's multiple currencies. Like, so there's some people that will say that they're Wealth Factory clients, and I let them come to workshops because it's not like sometimes I might be paying them, you know, referral fees, but sometimes it may be they just go, I just believe in what you do. So in that case, I'm always like, well, come to the workshop. It's on me. You've sent 10 people, you know,
Absolutely.
like here.
Yeah.
So you can actually bring them in if that's what it takes because of what, you know, but I'm pretty clear. I'm like, I would love for you to be able to refer people to us.
Yeah.
What would that take? Like, I don't want to just, you know, because there's an exchange there is a cost. It's just they're paying in a different way than cash. Then there's other people that are influential, they'll still pay and they'll refer.
Right.
And you got to decide, are you going to pay them when they refer someone? And there's more than one way to pay. There's the services we talked about, but there's also just like some people just want to know what's going on. They just want to hear about it. They want to be acknowledged for it. They want to hear about the results, right? They want to get some level of credit for it. Or there just may be cool experiences. Like I might just bring someone up here to this cabin.
Yeah. Cool.
I'd be like, hey, thanks. You've been awesome. Why don't we just, you know, and I could just create a great environment or experience for them. So think of like, what is each person's currency?
Okay.
Is it acknowledgement? Is it money? Is it, you know, time with you guys? Like, what's that currency? And all it really takes all it really takes is if you have 5 huge fans that have influence, that will launch a business. Right?
Yes. Figuring out those 5.
And so think about Pareto analysis in this too. There'll be 20% of the people that will refer 80% of the people.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So spend 80% of your time with that 20%.
Yeah.